Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Data Playbook. We have our Week 11 Sunday games to go through now, so we're going to go through those one by one, so let's get into it. The next game to cover here is Tampa Bay at Buffalo, where Buffalo's favored on the money line, with a spread of 5.5 and a total line of 46.5. Here's your averages for the rankings, and looking at those rankings for the individual teams, you have Tampa Bay with a pretty good average rank across the board, maybe a little above average in their scoring rank and passing rank, and allowed rushing rank. Their allowed passing rank and rushing ranks are pretty low, and their tight end rank is pretty low. Interesting that their allowed tight end rank is much better than their allowed passing rank, significantly better, so they're much better at stopping tight ends than they are generally stopping the pass. For Buffalo, you have some really good numbers, with a passing rank of 11, allowed passing rank of 4, so that's really good, a rushing rank of 1, tight end rank of 2, allowed tight end rank of 1, so all of those numbers are pretty good, except for this allowed rushing rank of 30, so they're very bad at stopping the rush. But other than that, they're about average to above average, maybe even top third on almost everything. The quarterbacks in this matchup are Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen, with Mayfield averaging 18.2 fantasy points per game, and Josh Allen averaging 22.7. Baker Mayfield has 2 interceptions this season, with 1 fumble lost due to a sack, and Josh Allen has 5 interceptions this season, and 2 rushing fumbles lost. And then here's your averages, along with our breakdowns of Baker Mayfield, getting a rushing carry share of something about probably 10 or 12%. His rushing yard share comes out to be 18.6%. For Josh Allen, his rushing carry share is 22.1% of the team's total carry share, and that comes out to be 23.05% of the team's total rushing yard share. And then getting into the running backs, you still have Bucky Irving listed as out, so you have Rachaad White and James Cook. Rachaad White has averaged 10.6 fantasy points per game this season. James Cook has averaged 18. Rachaad White has no turnovers, but James Cook has 1 rushing fumble. And then here's your season averages for these guys, as well as their team rushing information, with Rachaad White having 41% of the team's total rushing carry share. That's overtaking Bucky Irving here at 33.5% since he's been out so much. That equates to 38.3% of the team's total rushing yard share, again beating out Bucky Irving now at 27.9%. For James Cook, he has 62.2% of the team's total rushing carry share, which equates to 68.2% of the team's total rushing yard share. For your number 1 receivers in this game, you have Emeka Egbuka and you have Khalil Shakir. Egbuka gets 16.3 average fantasy points per game, and Khalil has been averaging 12.2. With no turnovers, we'll go straight to our averages and look at their share of the team, with Emeka getting about 26.4% of the team's total target share, which equates to about 32.3% of the team's total receiving yard share. So he gets a significant bump in how many receiving yards he gets over how many targets he gets. Khalil gets about 23.3% of the team's total target share, but only about 21.6% of the team's total receiving yard share. And we have our number 2 receivers with Tez Johnson and Keon Coleman. We have Tez Johnson because Chris Godwin is still listed as out, so we'll take a look at him instead, where he averages 8.6 fantasy points per game, and Coleman averaging 9 fantasy points per game. The only turnovers come from Coleman, with 1 receiving fumble. And then with the averages flipped over and looking at a breakdown, unfortunately Tez has his numbers cut off here, but I think we can safely assume about that same 8 or 9, maybe 10%, and over here somewhere maybe between 10 to 12%. And with Keon Coleman, you get 19.7% of the team's total target share, equating to 15.6% of the team's total receiving yard share. And then moving into our tight ends, you have Cade Otton and Dawson Knox because Dalton Kincaid is listed as out. With Otton, you average about 8.8 fantasy points per game, and with Knox about 4.2. They have no turnovers between the two of them, so we'll go straight to their averages. And then really quick to note here, before with Tez Johnson, he has 10.4% of the team's total target share, 12.1% of the team's total receiving yard share, so I was pretty close in those numbers, but there's the exact ones where you need them. And then with Cade Otton, you get about 16.6% of the team's total target share, which equates to about 16.8% of the team's total receiving yard share, so a pretty close to 1-to-1 match there. For Dawson Knox, he gets about 7.2% of the team's total target share, which equates to about a little bit of a large number, maybe about 8% of the team's total receiving yard share. So there you have the numbers for the individual players. It will be an interesting game to see with this tight end rank of 2, but this allowed tight end rank of 9. However, without Kincaid, this might go down as well, but I would not expect to see much out of Otton with this one. I also don't know how much you'll see for passing with this allowed passing rank of 4, but even though that Tampa Bay is not very good at the rushing rank, they're going against one of the worst teams at stopping the rush, so they may have a chance there. Vice versa, though, you have one of the best rushing teams in the league going against about a top third, just at the bottom of the top third rushing rank, and with a passing rank of 11 against an allowed passing rank of 25. It would just seem that this still favors Buffalo, but if Tampa Bay can really put the brakes on them defensively and utilize their rushing rank against this, they might have a chance. And there's your numbers for that game. I hope that you found it useful. And if you did, leave a like and subscribe. And otherwise, comment on what else you want to see in the future. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you for the next matchup.